8-4. Phillies lose to the Miami Marlins. So the lackluster start to the season continues. The frustration for the Phillies and Phillies fans continues. Aaron Nola, what's going on with him? That continues. Gives up 5 runs, gives up 3 runs. Thought maybe he was on track. Gives up 4 runs tonight in 5 2/3 innings. And then the bullpen doesn't help either as the Phillies try to get back in it. Ricky Patalico, Ben Davis, I'm Michael Barkan. This is Phillies Postgame Live, presented by Cure Auto Insurance. John Kruk joining us from the ballpark in moments. What do you think, Ricky Bo?
I think it's very simple for a guy like Aaron Nola. I think he's just flat out getting too much of the plate. He has his innings where he looks really good, and then he has these innings where he's Ben and I talked about this last time he was out there, rolling his breaking ball. He doesn't have a really crisp fastball at times, and then all of a sudden everything's kind of elevating. And I'm not talking about elevating out of the zone. I'm talking about elevating middle of the zone, and then he gets peppered around. I mean, he was hit around pretty hard tonight. Especially by Luis Arraez.
Yeah.
Wow. Hits for the cycle. I mean, that's pretty impressive in itself. But Aaron Nola's got to figure himself out, because if he doesn't, this team's going nowhere.
Yeah, I'm surprised, Ben, at what has befallen Aaron Nola through 3 starts of this season. It's something that we've expected him kind of to put behind him at this point in his career.
Yeah, and you wonder what's really going through his head. The Phillies and Aaron Nola not able to work out a contract extension in spring training. They said, we'll call it off to the end of the season. Maybe some of those doubts are creeping into his mind. But nothing is crisp out of his hand. Like, he's just trying to get the ball to JT Realmuto. He's not trying to throw it through his mitt. There's no finish on that breaking ball. He threw a ton of cutters tonight. He threw 27% in cutters tonight. That is something we just haven't seen. So that means that he's really trying to feel for his other pitches. He doesn't have a feel for those. He doesn't have command of those pitches. So he's going more cutters. The changeup wasn't real sharp either night. Not a ton of movement on it. There's just something there that he doesn't have. Again, just no finish on his pitches.
Let's go across the street, check in with John Kruk, and John called tonight's game, of course, with Tom McCarthy. Johnny, now they have lost all 3 of Aaron Nola's starts. 5 runs given up at Texas, 3 runs given up at the stadium against the Yankees, and then tonight 4 runs. Do you have anything that would kind of put our finger on what could stop this?
Well, I have a question for Rick because he pitched and Ben because he caught. Because he's throwing more cutters, could that affect his other off-speed pitches like his curveball and his changeup?
In all honesty, it shouldn't, because you're throwing a cutter kind of out of the same slot that you're throwing your fastball, or at least you should. But I'm wondering, you say that, I'm wondering if he's getting on the side of it, and that could jump in on his curveball a little bit. His curveball was odd tonight, because I look at the first inning to Jazz Chisholm in the first inning. Nasty curveball. Where did that go? After like 2 innings, it disappeared.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering too, just watching. You know, it didn't seem like Aaron had a feel for any of his pitches tonight. Like Ben said, he did get squeezed in the lower part of the strike zone, but so did Luzardo. But, when Aaron has to elevate the ball, it's just not going to be good. But, seemed like he was kind of forced to elevate some of the pitches in a 1 inning when he gave up I think he had Gene Segura struck out, was called a ball. Gene ends up getting on, and Birdie gets on, and I don't know, Arraez was 8 for 4 with 800 runs, and
it felt like it. It felt like it.
That's what I didn't ask. I should ask. Has anyone ever won the batting title in the American League, get traded the next year to the National League, and win a batting title?
Good question, Johnny.
Ben, go ahead. No.
I know Willie McGee got traded halfway through the year in the National League and went over to Oakland, and he still was in contention for that batting title and actually won.
He won the batting title in the National League.
Correct.
He got on first base, and he got traded the next day.
Yeah.
And I said, dang, Willie, you get hit 350 the whole year? And then he gets traded. I guess he is.
Johnny, I'm going to go positive right now, and Nick Castellanos, I'm starting to see a guy that's starting to back the ball up a little bit more, a guy that's starting to lay off some pitches. There are a lot of questionable pitches down in the dirt tonight that we've seen him kind of flail at last year. He's laying off those pitches now and staying behind balls a lot better.
Now, to me, it just looks like he's seeing the ball better. He's tracking it better, and like you said, he's laying off And look, every hitter's going to swing at a slider in the dirt. You know, it's if they don't, their name's Tony Gwynn. And we know there's no Tony Gwynns around here. But, well, maybe Arraez is. But he is laying off pitches. And, you know, how many times last year you see he'd get a pitch to hit and he'd foul it off. Or he'd swing through it. And then he would chase. And he's seeing the ball better. He's laying off those pitches. And he's you know, everyone will foul ball, but it seems like he is getting more strikes. When he gets more strikes, he's putting good swings on it and hitting it hard somewhere.
Well, I mean, one more pitch there could have been 3 more runs for the Phillies.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying it was a rally killer.
Yep.
John, last night the lineup featured Bryson Stott leading it off. Tonight he's batting 8th. Trey Turner once again leading it off. Turner's 0 for 5. Stott once again ripping the cover off the ball. He's 2 for 4. He was great last night. We heard Rob Thomson say post-game last night, yeah, I'll think about it. And we've seen Stott, we've seen Bohm bat in different spots. Is it time to put guys in a more permanent position in the lineup?
You know, I think back in the 80s and 90s, we loved to know when we went to the ballpark, this is where you're playing, this is where you're hitting. You didn't even have to look at the lineup. You just knew. But I think the game is played differently now. You know, it's the numbers are taken more into consideration with how everything, you know, especially with Luzardo pitching, how tough he is on left-handers. But, you know, Schwarber hit the homer. Bryson had a couple hits. You know, I think comes a time when, you know, you have to trust Bryson Stott, and you have to say you're going to hit either, you know, near the top of the lineup, and Alec, you're going to hit, you know, 3rd, 4th, or 5th, 6th, or, you know, I don't even think I'd move him down to 6th, 3rd, 4th, or 5th, and you know, let it go from there. But yeah, I think Bryson has to move up. But he gets on base, he can run. You know, but the thing, he has really good at bats too. He fouled balls off he fouled some off against Luzardo before he got a base hit. You know, foul it off. He works a pitcher. You know, I think, you know, I think I would put Bryson up there somewhere near the top of the lineup, if not batting leadoff the whole time, and, you know, mix and match from there.
We'll see what happens for the getaway game tomorrow.
He's batting leadoff tomorrow.
Yeah,
that's what we hear.
That's what we hear. All right, John, thanks so much. We'll talk to you tomorrow. John Kruk in the booth.
That's fine, but if it's on that same plane, hitters you're not going to change hitters' eye levels. You're not going to change anything about their approach. You have to figure it out. You have to get a better slant, number one, on your slider than you do on your curveball. I think right now they look a lot alike right now, which is not a good thing.
The good news, Ben, is his ERA went down. The bad news is from 7.45 to 7.04. So he's still got a long way to go.
Yeah, and it's kind of baffling me with the percentage of the pitches that he threw tonight. Again, 34% four-seam, 27% cutter, 16% curveball, 13% two-seamer. 13% two-seamer. When he got to the big leagues, the two-seamer was his bread and butter. He would induce a lot of ground balls, early outs is what he was getting. And now he's kind of gotten away from that two-seamer a little bit and gone with more of the cutter. In my mind, it says cutter on your television on the bug. But in my mind, it's got more depth to it, which makes it more like a slider. And he elevated a couple of those tonight, and it got hit around a little bit. But I'd like to see him get back to maybe he did find a way to miss bats. And maybe that was a good thing for a little while. But now it seems like he really wants to miss bats by spinning baseballs. But he can induce early contact, weak contact with that good hard sinker. Not a ton of pitches on the inside part of the plate to right-handed hitters.
Last question before we table the Aaron Nola topic for the night. Remember, he lost 4 out of his first 5 starts last year. Remember, he was 11-13 last year. And I know he gave them a boost in the postseason. But is this the way it's going for Aaron Nola? He did not have a great season last year.
I think he's going to be better, but I think at the beginning of the year, I think it would benefit him to simplify. Ben even said when he first came up, it was sinker curveball. Right? I mean, that's really what he went with. do you really have to throw 5 different pitches right now? Go with the 3 pitches that are working, and then forget about the other 2 for now until you can mix them in later on.
Benny?
Yeah, I think, again, it's all about pitch command with his fastball. He didn't have not commanded that fastball tonight. And, again, I think that's why he started to go to that cutter / slider, whatever you want to call it. But the best pitch in baseball, I said it till I'm blue in the face, is a located fastball.
Yeah.
And he was not able to locate that fastball this evening.
We do point out he finished 4th in the Cy Young balloting last year, Aaron Nola. So there is that. The rise of Luis Arraez. Hopefully that'll be that from the Marlins, especially as they go into the getaway game tomorrow. Here's Rob Thomson, postgame.
Rob Stott keeps hitting tonight. 2 good hits off a tough lefty
Yeah.
there. What do you see from him offensively?
Great. He just continues to do well and have good at bats. So he'll be leading off tomorrow and playing. So we'll have to figure it out moving forward. But tomorrow will be in the leadoff spot.
The second one, too big of a turn.
Yeah, too big of a turn. And Segi made a nice play and threw behind him, but just a little bit over aggressive and trying to do too much.
Talked about that a few times this week. The base running miscues and giving away outs in a close game
Yeah.
like that. Is that something that?
Yeah, I mean, you got to control your emotions and try not to do too much. And we'll clean that up.
How deflating do you think that play was? You guys have all the momentum, and then suddenly it stops.
Well, we had a couple other runs there after that, so we got to shut their offense down at that point. 5 of the 8 runs I think came with 2 out, so we got to close out innings, finish innings, get back in the dugout, start hitting again.
What did you think happened to Nola in that final inning?
Well, I mean, he gave up the triple and the double, and then after that, he had 2 out, scratch hit through the 5-6 hole. Segura bloop to center field. We thought his stuff was still good, and we wanted to try and get him through the inning. And then his pitch count got to the point where I had to go get him.
You guys haven't gotten a ton of length out of your starters so far. Just how much of a problem is that having a?
Well, it taxes the bullpen for sure, and that's part of it. But we got to figure it out.
Would it be
Like
made
Nola
Nola
was
3
being-
3 starts?
Hold on. Go ahead, Alex.
Did you feel like Nola was being squeezed at all in the 6th? I think that's for at bat.
Yeah, JT said there were a couple of questionable balls that could have been strikes.
What did you see out of him before that inning?
Nola, I thought he was great. I thought he was good all night long. I thought his cutter was good. His fastball command was good. Curveball was good. Yeah, I think he's getting better every start.
Did you guys see that his velocity creeped up? It looked like his velocity was up a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. And I think that's going to continue until he gets to his normal velocity. Go ahead, Matt.
What makes Arraez such a difficult matchup?
Well, he knows the strike zone. He's got power. He can pull the ball. He can hit the ball the other way. He hangs in on lefties. He's a good hitter, and he's hot right now.
When you said Harper did modified sliding today, what does that mean?
They start on their knees, and he just stretches out and kind of pushes off his knees, and just to get that feeling. Doesn't go into a base or anything. It's just out in the grass.
Do you think? I mean, Vladi and Brogdon have pitched a ton here because he's been behind in a lot of games. Do you think that effect? They're starting to feel that a little bit here?
Maybe a little bit. We've worked those guys pretty good. So we have to get some length at some point to kind of settle the pen down a little bit, and we will.
Do you think there's anything? Nola's starting New York was the only time a guy this year has finished the 6th. Is there something about getting over a hump there with just trying to get out of a 6th inning at some point?
No, I think it's more about pitch count and throwing strikes, not walking people, getting early outs, getting soft outs, and then that contains your pitch count.
Allen looked pretty good, turning that 3-6-3 in the ninth inning.
Yeah, it was a nice play. Really was.
Post game today or tomorrow morning, just checking any update on Andrew Painter.
Oh no, I didn't hear anything today. So I'll make sure that I get tomorrow.
Maybe we've got it wrong. Rob Thomson on Aaron Nola, Ricky and Ben. Quote, thought he was great. Command was great. Curveball was good. Think he's getting better every start. Getting back to his normal velocity. Rob Thomson on Aaron Nola.
All right, my opinion on this is that this sounds like spring training talk. This sounds like, okay, Aaron's getting his velocity back and he's working his way up in innings and pitches per game. That should be done in spring training. I don't understand. I get it. Okay, you're 3 starts in. I mean, back in the day, you're ready to go for the rest of the season in 3 starts.
Ben?
The last game we broadcast in spring training, Aaron Nola threw 37 pitches. And he came out of the ballgame. We thought he was going to sit down. They brought a reliever in and go back out and get his pitch count up. We got Rob Thomson on the air a little bit later, and he said, no, that was the plan. He was going to go around 40 pitches. He said it was just going to be a little tune-up before the first start of the year in Texas. I don't understand why you're only throwing 37 pitches before starting the season. And I agree with Ricky. It's still like spring training, like he's got his sea legs.